have you. You don't have to work and slave. Let electricity do it for you. You can have you.
33, 1, 0.
Film was a rare commodity, I'd say. If we could use film, it had to be a pretty important story.
The last American troops pulled out of Vietnam in 1973. 4 years later, the controversy over the war was still raging. General William Westmoreland, commander of American forces in Vietnam, made a stop in Macon in 1977, and Stan asked him for his assessment of the war.
You were in Vietnam, and this is a long question, but perhaps you can give us a shorter answer. Was it a right thing to do?
It was a very idealistic commitment. It was a commitment that was basically made in principle back in 1947 by President Truman when he enunciated the Truman Doctrine. This general principle was also endorsed by President Eisenhower. And then Mr. Kennedy gave it an idealistic and an emotional tone in his inaugural address. We'll bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, success and survival of liberty. That set the tone about us involved in Vietnam. Final analysis, however, we as a nation failed to do that which we set out to accomplish. Final analysis, we sadly enticed this young country to our bosom, but ultimately we deserted them and we abandoned them. And this is nothing to be proud of, and there are lessons to be learned. And I'm concerned that we're going to sweep it under the rug and not learn those lessons.
All right, Colin, I'm starting, okay?
Okay.
I don't remember my age. Probably, I don't know, 10 years old, 12 years old. We were over on the Stooges Circle. And the house he moved after he moved out of Shirlington, after he retired from Channel 13, and he did not like snakes at all. Neither did my grandmother, but he thought all snakes should be dead. There was no good snakes; they were all poisonous as far as he was concerned. And in the backyard, we saw a snake in a brick pile. And he told me, he came in there and says, "Young man, I want you to go out there and kill that snake." And I went out there, said, "Okay, yes sir." I went out there, I looked, I found the snake. It was a rat snake. And I came back in and I told my grandfather, I was like, "I can't kill that snake." He says, "No, I told you to go kill that snake and you'll do as you're told." I said, "Granddaddy," I said, "I respectfully decline. I cannot kill that snake. My father taught me not to kill rat snakes, only poison snakes." And so he got real upset. He didn't do anything to me. He said he was going to talk to my father, and he went out there with his cane, even at his age, and he went out there and he didn't find the snake because I'd already run it off. But he was beating around the bricks, and he was determined to kill that snake. So that was one of the believe it or not, of all the memories, that was one of the strongest, because I had to tell him no, and I did not want to do that because he was very strict. Mm-hmm. But he was fair, so there's a difference. I think one of the others is my cousin Chuck and I were interviewed a couple of times on live TV. I was interviewed, well, both of us, about our Little League experiences, what we did on Little League as far as baseball. Of course, I don't remember much of the interviews, But I just remember that, you know, golly, we couldn't have been more than 8 or 9 years old. But we met several of the people that were at WMAZ, and I don't even remember their names really now. But the one that sticks out the most is Dale Ward. And Dale was very, very sweet. And really the last time I saw her, she looked exactly the same as she did then to me. But, you know, she had us up helping her with some of her props that she was using. I don't even remember what was going on, but I just, she actually gave us a car each, a race car. So we were at WMAZ racing these cars down the halls, you know, while they were doing broadcast. So, because he had to wrap up his 11 o'clock segment. We used to watch him when we'd go over to my grandmother's house on Shirlington. My cousin would come down, and they lived in Douglasville, but he would come down and stay, you know, for a week at a time, sometimes when he was little. But we would sit up and watch our grandfather on the 11 o'clock news when he did the late segment. Sometimes it was just at 6 o'clock. But my grandmother loved to play games with us, board games. We would sit up till, 2, 3, and 4 in the morning playing these board games. And our favorite was Easy Money. And Easy Money was probably the predecessor to Monopoly. Actually used a larger denomination, so it was a lot more fun. But anyway, we would watch him on the news, and that's when he normally would he would tell us, you know, he'd tell the whole viewing audience that he's like, "Mama, put the coffee on. I'm coming home." But I guess it's just hard to remember some of the, because most of the time he handled the late night and we were already in bed. But those are the times when we stayed with my grandmother that we got to see him on there, unless he did an earlier segment. But I guess a lot of the memories that I know is sifting through a lot of the memorabilia that he's collected and the autographs, all the celebrities that he either interviewed or he was able to at least correspond with throughout the years. One of my favorites is he used to cover the Augusta National, you know, the Masters every year. I would have loved to have been old enough to enjoy that or go with him. I think it was in the late 60s. But I can't really remember and recall anything after 11 or 12 years old. I think that might have been the time that he had retired, come home. But yeah, he retired and moved out to South Bibb County from Shirlington. And that's when he started having as far as health issues.
You have so many high positions, authority, and been brought in contact with so many high officials of the world. LBJ gave you some advice one time on the ranch. What was that?
Well, I had many long talks with President Johnson in the White House and at the ranch in Texas. He and Mrs. Johnson, that everybody affectionately called Lady Garden, were wonderful people, very gracious hosts. Ms. Westmore and I had a very warm feeling toward them. I was privileged to have been his guest shortly before he passed away in his ranch, where I was making a speech to a Chamber of Commerce in Dallas. It was en route there. He said that the biggest mistake that he made, or one of the big mistakes that he made, was not bringing into his cabinet and into the White House his own men, as opposed to retaining the Kennedy group. He did not feel that the Kennedy group were always loyal to him. But he did make one exception.
And who was that?
Dean Russ, the Secretary of State.
What happened? As far as health conditions happened?
Well, it's hard for me to remember too because I was young, and I'm trying to remember if it was 80. I was I believe it had to be before 85. He worked in a funeral home after that, I think. Or no, he probably was working in a funeral home helping. You know how you elders, go in there and help with funerals, and he was carrying a casket and it hurt his back, and that's where it started. So he hurt his back trying to help carry a casket or whatever. So that's when the back went down, and then he started having and he had cancer. Well, the decline came from his back. I think it started with his back issue, and then they found other things. But still, we were there actually the day he passed away. We have Sunday dinner every Sunday. So, my grandmother, bless her heart, I can remember that vividly. Chuck and I, she sent us to the front yard to wave the ambulance down. And we did. And she was out there just raising Cain and fussing at us in the front yard because we were over there playing on the side or whatever. We're like, I told y'all, But I'm like, the ambulance ain't here yet. There ain't nothing to wave down. So I told him, we'll wave the ambulance down when it comes. So she was upset because she was panicking and for good reason. But he did. We were all there for Sunday dinner and passed away. So it's hard to forget that. That's why I'm saying it's hard to remember. 85, 86, I don't know. It was 85 or 86, I'm sure.
General, there are two things that really break me up, and I'm not ashamed to say it. And that brings tears to my eyes. And that is when I see anyone who has given a good performance get a standing ovation, regardless of what it is. And the other one was when you addressed a joint session of Congress. You remember that?
I remember that.
Full uniform, standing straight as the soldier you are. And then all of a sudden, you're saluted. I can almost feel it now. How did you feel at that moment?
Well, I completed my talk. I thought that I'd been up writing most of the night because I was given very little forewarning and I was to address the joint session of Congress. I had very little sleep the night before. I was very relieved to get the speech over with because this is not an everyday occurrence to talk to a joint session of Congress, and I'm the only soldier in history who's ever been called back to the United States by his Commander-in-Chief, the President, to talk to a joint session of Congress. And of course, I didn't want to do it, but I had my orders.
This was a Civil War, I don't know if he was a general or what, but he was a Civil War. This is one of his first ones. I need to do some research on that one.
So these are all the autographs?
Well, these are a lot of people. Some of them have autographs, some don't. So, Farley, this is the guy who did Hello Stanley. Do you remember they had that thing today on watches. They were selling watches.
Yeah.
This is Bailey.
Oh, really?
Let's see, Beetle Bailey or whatever. Let's see. See, Stanley and Carey, Beacon, New York. This was. Can you read that address? Was that 32?
It says 32.
1932. Hello Stanley. This is really cool because this was from. I need to take it out of here though for you to. What's his name? Kinsley? Is that?
Kinsley.
Well, it should be in the right place. Here they. Okay. Just step out of the movies to hang around with you. Here they are, Paramount Funmakers at your service, sincerely yours. Fleischer. It's Fleischer. That's Fontaine. Frank Fontaine.
I really wish you had the letter from Kennedy, though. That'd be so cool. Hey, I can't believe you had a letter and an autograph from John F. Kennedy.
Chuck got, I think, if I have it, it's in here, but Chuck got the president's, but he was like the autograph parts of the president. Who does that say?
I don't know, she looks familiar.
Yeah, she does look familiar. See, there's stuff all packed in here. So here's Channel 13. You wouldn't want to do that unless you told them that create opera remote. I believe that it had the actual teletype when the war started.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Pearl Harbor, and it was on there. He was on the news when it was live coming across.
There's Ripley's.
There's Ripley's, believe it or not. There.
That's his signature?
Okay for Sound Saturday, believe it or not, Ripley.
Is that his?
Yes, that's Ripley.
Gosh.
A lot of these are letters. Well, there he is.
Let me see that.
Yep. Oh, it's that in there.
It's a good picture. Oh, that's what does that say? Can you read that?
This is even better. Yeah, dear Mr. Carey, Mr. Ripley will meet you at the ferry, Beaconside, at 6:40 p.m. However, if he is not there at that time, he will positively be there for the 7 o'clock boat. He will be in a gray and black Packard sedan. License number is BB 18. Believe it or not.
That's crazy.
And it was the secretary signed it, so that's really, really cool to go with the... I mean, we know the day, we know the time, and we know what he arrived in.
That's crazy.
Oh yeah, there's Vera Van. Beautiful. Vera Van. Can't miss that one. She signed it to Stanley. Very sincerely, Vera Van. Billy Graham.
I was going to say, he didn't just pass away?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Anything up till the 70s, I think, was pretty legit. Most of the time. I'm sure they did some other things before that.
Tell you, there's so much to go through, though. Look at all this. That's crazy.
It is crazy. But a lot of those are pictures. They would...
Armed Forces Day. What does that say?
That was 69. It was right after I was born.
Oh, wow.
He used to do...
There's a picture of them there.
Yeah, and that's at his home. So he used to do interviews. Some of these people would come to the house and Grandma would cook for them. That's Stan. That's him in 34.
He's a good drawer.
But I think somebody drew it for him. Warwick or something. So sometimes he got characters of himself.
These are all newspaper articles.
From famous people. Spalding. I mean, there's
pictures. That's a postcard.
Postcard. Oh my gosh. Yeah, he kept anything somebody sent back to him. And like I said,
because I realized I didn't realize until I realized I was doing the same thing too, collecting autographs and things like that.
Oh, really?
I didn't realize I was doing the exact same thing he did until you mentioned it last time I was here.
Oh, there's these are special honorary things like Office of the Governor, Certificate of Honor, and that's from Oklahoma. He got Kentucky. He's a honorary colonel in several states. There's my original Bob Jones.
Bob Jones.
Bob Jones. And the Masters. Isn't that beautiful?
There it is.
The astronaut there.
That's all the
There's
astronauts.
the signatures from the astronauts.
That's Neil Armstrong and
that was 69
Buzz
probably.
Aldrin.
Or 70.
Aldrin.
Yep.
Oh, is Richard Nixon's there too?
Mm-hmm.
Goodness.
Let's see. These are all
like contracts and stuff.
Yeah. Senators, and that's the Republican Convention. Congress.
Yeah.
These are all. This whole book is nothing but congressmen.
More contracts and stuff.
Oh yeah. Here's him. A little lion cub came to the set.
Oh yeah.
Here's him real early. I mean, the beginning of his career. Hudson Valley's own home station.
Oh wow. That's probably like in the 40s maybe.
30s and 40s. Oh, look at that.
What is that Babe Ruth? Is that Babe Ruth?
Yeah, Graham, one of the all-time great sportcasters, interviewed Babe Ruth during the baseball game at Yankee Stadium.
Oh wow!
It's an original picture they used for the. Now it's not signed, but it's surprised he. Oh, look at that! There he is again. Awesome, man.
Well, when they gave me a standing ovation, and they were so warm, I was flabbergasted, and I sat there, and I guess I really lost my poise. I didn't know what to do.
It didn't show on camera.
So, in case of doubt, salute.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You saluted in all directions. And you're a great man, and I found you to be a very warm person. And if I may, I salute you.